Thanks everybody for hopping along. A little bit tired. It was a weird. I've spent my last 24 hours pretty much just working on USF stuff, which usually takes up a very small fraction of my time. But given everything that was going on, I got sucked into the middle of the coaching circus. Not just with USF, but some other places helping some folks out. So trying to be a good citizen for our company. But yeah, man, an interesting game on Friday in the Bends. Everybody still hates those in the Bends. It was the only benefit of the game being in the Bends was that it was not freezing. I had a long conversation with one of the officials before the game about that down on the sideline when they were hanging out before the game, warming up. That we were both kind of glad that it was not outside because it was so cold, but that was about it. We're all witnessing sort of the next step in the evolution, I guess, of what Brent Key's trying to do at Georgia Tech, and they're still not there. It was the question I asked him, I think, that ended the press conference on after the game, which is like, what do you got to do to get over the hump? You're right on the hump now. You're competitive in the game. You should have won last year. Really did win. Minus some bad calls, and then. I could have tell y'all who called me, but I can't say. Sorry, I'm a little thrown off because that was not a call I was expecting right now. It's something.
I got a little glitchy there for a second. I don't know if you got knocked off or something.
Yeah, hang on one second. Gotta handle Tech. Tech had to figure out the defense sooner, and they didn't, and they paid the price for that now. So we're all going to be not working this week in terms of covering a game because of that, and that in some ways is worse than even what happened in the Bends. I think that they blew the opportunity to win an ACC championship, be in the playoffs, especially with the way they played against Georgia. That would have really put them in good standing for the playoffs. So I don't know. Alex was sitting next to me during the game, despondent at times. What did you think?
I don't know. It was a weird game. I felt like we were kind of in it, but I didn't ever have a ton of confidence they were going to make the plays to give themselves a chance to win. That I don't know, the offense just seemed like it couldn't. I don't know. They couldn't run the ball for one thing. That's a huge problem. And it just felt like they were just never close enough to, make an actual play to either tie it or go ahead. There were some plays to be made too. There was some plays in the second half, or if a receiver got the ball, it might have been a touchdown or not. But I don't know. It's frustrating just to see them close again, but not close enough. But like you said, I think when we look back on this season, long term, maybe a few months from now, we'll be able to kind of say it's a step in the right direction instead of being kind of disappointed with 8-0 to the 9-3 in November. So I don't know. It's tough, but going in the right direction. Hopefully this next week and then the portal next month, there's going to be some good news coming and some holes filled to make them more competitive. So we'll see.
Ken, my man, were you not alive in 2009? Because I thought 2009 was the golden opportunity that was blown. They had the weird scheduling thing where they played Miami on short rest and were all beat up, and then lost to Georgia in a game they should have won where they had the better team. That to me was more disappointing if you were following Tech than this one. Or even some of the there were a couple years with Paul where there were a couple clangers. There were definitely some with Jan too. There were real clangers. So to me, this was disappointing in the way that they had it all laid out for him, but also, I think they had so many things fall their way. They didn't they didn't implode in Colorado in game one when they had the 3 turnovers in the first 3 drives of the game. We're playing on the short field, gave up 1 touchdown out of that. The Wake Forest game, getting the benefit of the doubt there on a play where they were clearly offsides that would have ended that game with a loss. Having to come back and beat Boston College with your, F game on defense. They played with fire all year. This team overachieved relative to that. I think that everyone got so caught up in the excitement of them being in the hunt that the reality of how every game had been like ridiculously close, other than like Syracuse, Gardner Webb, and Temple. Literally every game was like coming down to the last possession of the game, or there was very few comfortable wins. So like you have to take that into account too. It wasn't like they were running a gauntlet either of games. The schedule was more manageable, and so they benefited from all of that as well. And the idea is you're going to continue to get better. The other disappointing thing, I think, was it sucks that they got all that momentum behind Haynes King. He was legitimately in the Heisman conversation, and then just didn't play well on offense down the stretch. He had some rough games where he wasn't as effective as he'd like to be, and they couldn't run the football the last couple of weeks, which was really kind of amazing. So, they're closing the gap, right? Winning close, the Brent Key thing. Rob's got it here in the chat. But lose big, lose small, win small, start to win big. Oops. But still not quite there yet. Sorry.
I think I actually look at it more in a positive way than that. I think I talked to a Georgia Tech fan that's a high school coach around here recently about you were in a ton of games where you could have lost, but they found ways to win, and that hadn't really been the case in the past, I don't know, 7 years since Paul. So, just being able to find ways to win games, even if it's not pretty, they would, like Damon Stoudemire said this year about his team. Sometimes they might have lost that game last year.
Two very different, I think, situations where the two pieces are. And I like Damon, and I wasn't trying to do that weird thing that kids do now, by the way, just to be clear. But very different situation. And
yeah,
I don't know. It's you rode the highs and lows of the offense, and someone made a good point on the board today that the reality was a lot of the year they were playing with basically Keelan Rutledge and 4 new offensive linemen that didn't start last year. And that hurt. McKinney getting hurt down the stretch really impacted them on the offense. They had all the weird stuff with Clayton Powell struggling and Kyle Eford struggling. And then those guys play great in the Georgia game. It was fascinating to see kind of the adjustments and what's been going on. But I don't know, man. It was I think you got to hold your head up high and be proud of like the way the team's gone. Maybe you get to 10 wins right now. I'd like to see the kick return not look like an adventure of a lifetime every time they take a kickoff back, or not having situational awareness on the kickoff, or like understand where you are on the field. And I get maybe some guys are having trouble with the lights. That was a whole thing before the game, talking to some players on the field, not even Tech guys, like some of the Georgia guys were having issues with it. So that's what's up. But it is disappointing that Duke's going to the ACC champion. Let's call it what it is. Like, if you had Virginia and Miami in the ACC champion, everyone would be like, all right, cool, whatever. Virginia got hot, or even Pitt. Like, Pitt gets hot, and say they'd upset Miami and made it. Like, okay, it's Duke that was like so bad at the start of the season, and you beat them head to head, and you all end up in the same thing with a better record, playing a stronger strength of schedule, and somehow Duke won some weird multiple tiebreaker. I think that was also pretty bad. Like, And Brent said, I guess they peaked early. Like that was the other thing. Brent talked about wanting to peak. That's something he talked about from the preseason camp too.
I felt like I don't know if I've put it in any of my stuff that I've written, but I feel like the team did kind of run out of gas, and like we went into the season thinking like this is a very deep team, and like they're going to have some room for error, but and I don't think the injury situation was like crazy this year compared to last year, but I
It
don't know.
hurt
It
them
just
in a couple spots real bad. Like Savion
yeah,
Riley getting hurt, killed the safety spot because he was literally like Alex and I would be at practice. He was rolling in and out with the ones. Like they had it intended for him to play 350 snaps this year on defense at least. He played 8, 10 in the Colorado game, maybe. Like
yeah,
the D tackle
um,
thing hurt because they spent the entire year. Matthew Alexander was hurt, then Kilo got hurt, then Matt got concussed, then and they just kind of went back and forth. They rarely had all four of them healthy, where they had invested money on those four guys, really kind of banking on them. Um, yeah, you never Manley got hurt, and he was up and down, but he was at least getting pressures early in the season before he got hurt, and then was kind of ineffective. They whiffed on Hoffler, which was a huge mess. Triplet was inconsistent. And the reality is they invested heavily in the offense. And part of that was you wanted to keep Buster Faulkner happy. You wanted to keep Haynes King happy. You wanted to do all those things. I think, as Dusty mentioned this on the board, the offensive line was better last year. But they still struggled at times run blocking, but they were better. This year it was there's a huge learning curve. You had both Tana and Harrison Moore get injuries, and Harrison missed quite a bit of time. You had Joe Fusel really struggling, I think, from a physical standpoint. And then you had McKinney get hurt at left tackle. He has barely played the last two games. They've been really banged up. I think McKinney started the game. He played the first 8 snaps of the game and then was done for the game. Like it's just been a lot of setbacks. I think Malachi Carney's probably a guard. They're playing him at tackle, even more of a guard than Jordan Williams was. Like, there's a lot of stuff that still quite wasn't there. And then, like, some of the freshman guys haven't worked out yet either. I mean, they weren't expecting Josh Petty to play right away, but he wasn't ready for prime time when they put him in there. So we'll see. Why do people keep asking if Aaron Philo is playing in the bowl game? I don't understand this. Like, Haynes King is not a lottery NFL draft pick. He's not, you know, um, you know, Bryce Young or something. Like, that dude carried your team. You start him in the bowl game. That's the most ridiculous, like, weird fan thing. Like, y'all stop with this. This was a question multiple times on the board too. Do you play him in the game if you're up enough, or if the situation arises where he needs to play? But they haven't played him all year. They're not going to put in a package for the bowl game. I don't think that seems crazy.
I think he posted a Instagram face like a photo collection, and it got people going. Like he was maybe he's been told he got the keys to the offense or something. But yeah, I don't. You gotta let King ride it out.
What's the standard number? They usually you would have 5. They had 5 with Shameik, but Shameik was inconsistent in playing for the first time. Landon Marshall wasn't ready to go, and neither of the two freshmen were ready to go, and that put a lot of pressure on Jason Moore, who played really admirably well. But they struggle in the portal there. That just ran out of money to get quality guys. Let's call it what it is. Like, they were very invested on offense and invested in key pieces on defense, keeping guys like Jordan Vandenberg and keep going and getting Matthew Alexander and Akilo Stone. The problem was you needed one more guy there. That also would have allowed them to be more creative with putting a bigger defense, like we talked about, I guess last week, was it, like playing a bigger defensive tackle at the end position like they did with Machias 2 years ago. Like, you could have done that if you had another body that you felt good about. But this all goes back to the last cycle that Jeff was the coach going into that year, and then them just whiffing hard on the defensive line recruiting. Which is part of why I think Brent made changes and got rid of the 2 guys that were there who had done a good job for him in terms of coaching and player development, but the recruiting had been awful. So all that stuff's kind of currently coming to roost there. I think that's why you're going to see them sign like 11 defensive linemen this year or something insane. Let's see, what is it? What am I at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. Sorry, 8. Or sorry, 8 high school defensive linemen, and then
Yeah,
probably a couple of the portal.
that's when you got to 11. I was thinking 8 high school.
Yeah,
And then,
sorry, I was thinking of the portal part too. It's going to be
yeah.
more than that, I bet too.
I
So
really,
yeah, I will have an update on this. Read the site tomorrow, man. I
yeah,
will have a whole big thing going into projected class and the war room and all that fun stuff.
it's going to be a busy 3 days
All right,
here.
here's your question, Alex, because I told you my theory about this. Will Tech be ranked in the CFP? I think they will, because it's going to be a way to
Like
prop up
Georgia,
that
yeah,
Georgia's.
yeah. Finally, Georgia.
It's a quality
Yeah,
loss,
quality
Alex.
loss. Yeah, I don't know. They weren't ranked in the coaches today, and they were ranked in the AP. And I don't know. I think
ESPN was calling the defense, by the way. I don't. Again, Brent's not a play caller. You watch him during the game; he ain't calling the defense. Like,
I think they look good enough to where the committee will say, yeah, we'll slip them in there at 24-25 and not think anything of it. But it don't matter at this point. Yeah,
that's an interesting question. Is King on the sideline next year as a coach? I don't know. That's an interesting question.
I think he'll get an invite somewhere. I don't know if somebody will keep him on their roster, but
I think he's more meaning like, is he gonna be on Tech's coaching staff?
yeah, that's why. Like if he sticks around the NFL, I don't know if he wants to be a practice squad like guy like that, or if he wants to move on to the next thing. I think he'll have a chance to impress somebody. I don't know if it's really depending on what he wants to do. He could be a coach or a GA for sure, wherever. So,
What's interesting is from that team from last year, you have Brody Rhodes, who's on the staff now as a analyst or whatever. I don't know. He's not really a GA. I don't think he's in grad school. I can't remember. Sorry, Brody. Brody's there coaching. Zach Pyron, who went to Minnesota and then to South Alabama, just medically retired. He's getting into coaching. He's going to be coaching high school football as an assistant at Alabama next year. And then Haynes, I am 100% certain, is going to be in coaching, and probably coaching either on a college staff or back in high school in Texas, I would guess, in the near future, as soon as his football journey's over. So you could have multiple coaches all off of one team, in 5-10 years time, that are assistants at different levels and stuff. So that's kind of cool.
I thought you were going into all that because I thought you were going to go into like Ryland Cody's on the staff now and
There's a lot of, you have like even guys like
Chase.
Chase Lane and
Yeah.
Lamiles Brooks are helping out in recruiting and with the NIL collective, and I'm sure that Haynes will have plenty of opportunities to do whatever he would like. It's so people keep asking about the bowl game. I'll say what I said on the board, since it's been like a day and a half since I posted that. What I was told is, barring anarchy, probably the Pop-Tarts Bowl or Gator Bowl. Things get weird because of what happened. Aside from those two, then you're looking at probably El Paso or San Diego. Schleybaugh had, I think, Tech in the one. Him and Kyle Bonaguro, or whatever his name is, they each had, one of them had in the Gator Bowl, one of them had in the Tax Layer Bowl. In the Pop Tarts Bowl. They were both there. Both bowls were repped and watching Tech and hanging out. The Pop Tarts Bowl has been at, I think, of like 8 of the 12 Georgia Tech games this season. So yeah.
As long as it don't end up in Birmingham again, I think they'll.
I don't want, what, the Texas Bowl that has an ACC tie. Well, that's the Sun Bowl, but that is literally further. We were joking about this. It's further from, one of the SIDs and I were joking about this. It is further from El Paso to Longview than it is from Atlanta to Longview, Texas. You don't realize how big Texas is. It's down in the corner. So yeah. Hold on a second.
I was Trying to get my other computers to start trying to restart.
Sorry about that, guys and gals. I'm not trying to be sexist. There's a lot going on, man. I am getting like pinged about all kinds of stuff because I am buddies with some of the people that do all of our stuff. So they're all running things by me while we're trying to do this about other coaching searches that are not involved in Georgia Tech. So it's kind of wild west. Apologies.
I was reading up and down the chat.
And if you want to start diving into some questions, you can do that too.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to. I was looking on here, and my other computer keeps trying to do the automatic restart for updates. I'm trying to get it out, turn it off.
Yeah, then these next like 72 whatever it is hours are going to be insane for us leading up into signing day. So just be aware.
Here's a question. How
Yeah, sorry. They have a bowl show right after isn't it right after the playoff?
Yeah.
It'd be like the playoff. It's like a freaking 8-hour extravaganza on ESPN, but they do like a bowl, they do the final committee rankings, right? And then they'll do a bowl announcement show. But a lot of the time that gets announced, the problem runs into when there's like them not wanting to repeat games or like something funky happens. That's how Georgia Tech ended up in Birmingham last year. Let's pray that nothing weird happens this time around.
Well, 2 years ago they got announced, or like it was a.
They announced the wrong, or McMurphy announced the wrong bowl.
Yeah, so they announced them into the Birmingham Bowl and ended up being the
Gasparilla Bowl.
Gasparilla. I was about to say Champ Sports Bowl. Yeah, it'll all trickle out that afternoon after the playoff.
And no one really knows for sure like what the matchups are and stuff, and there'll be a lot of maneuvering with all that. The other thing if the SEC has 5 teams in the playoffs, that impacts who's going where and their bowl seeding. So that could, like if Tech's in the Gator Bowl, that really impacts who they play in the Gator Bowl, so on and so forth.
The first question on here: how many important players should we be concerned about that will enter the portal? I'm sure there will be attrition.
How many players do they think are going in the portal?
Or like
I haven't even done the count yet. Like, that's on my agenda of stuff to do. I'm going to make a list, which I am not going to share with any of you, so don't ask. But yes, no, maybe.
Oh, I was wrong on the rankings too. They are in the coaches poll. They are 23.
Yeah, they're in both polls. They were higher in the coaches poll, weren't they, last week than they were in the other one?
Yeah,
they were higher in the coaches than the AP, so that makes sense.
For some reason, I thought I looked at the coaches poll today and they weren't in there. I don't know. I guess
the best ACC non-playoff bowl. It depends because they're all very similar now. It's usually considered the Pop-Tarts Bowl or the Gator Bowl.
I mean, I think the Gator Bowl has the most like historical significance of the non-big time bowls. That'd be my pick, but I think the players will be excited to go to Florida for any of those, and not Birmingham, and not the Pinstripe Bowl or the Yankee Stadium Bowl or whatever. Just get to Florida for a game.
Watch out, man! The Twitterati of Georgia Tech will attack you for this question. Why didn't they put another quarterback in? Or they're going to put Philo in? So why don't you just ask why are they not putting Philo in? I thought Haynes was throwing the football just fine. That wasn't really the issue. They couldn't run. That's not the issue. They're having some trouble blocking. So I don't think that's going to help you or help in the run.
The running game took a big step back this year, in my opinion. Like they had good spots, but it was not as consistent as I thought it was going to be, especially with the running backs they had. I guess it was the revolving offensive line that we talked about earlier. But, yeah, they just couldn't run the ball. Really couldn't do it the last 2 weeks. I know they got behind 28-0 to Pitt, and that kind of made the offensive game plan a little bit different. But they never got going really on Friday against Georgia, which, I mean, Georgia's good. Georgia's defense has improved over the year. But got to be able to run the ball. Yeah, Jamal didn't have the season he was hoping for. I'm sure he would admit that. He didn't really get on track either. So that was tough to see. Thought he was going to go out with a big one.
Sorry, I'm dealing with something funny.
What I see the question about Nehemiah Chandler. I mean, he put up some good production at South Alabama this year. So I don't know if he would be a one that would want to come back or whatever, but they need depth and defensive back. Yeah, Dusty Jackson Halls was a big deal. I watched him have a pretty big day today blocking. Buffalo Bills ran all over Pittsburgh for like I don't know, it's 200 something yards rushing against Pittsburgh, and he was a big part of it, blocking on the edge.
Sorry, there's some fake news I'm dealing with.
You didn't get a dupe like I did a little bit ago, where some fake coaching changes. I thought Kennesaw State coach is headed to South Florida, but then I saw it was a fake Twitter account. You gotta be careful with that stuff these days. Let's see. There's several questions about the ACC. I don't know what happens, but the reputation of the league's kind of never been lower, right, than it is right now. So
even though they rolled through the SEC with the only losses being Florida State, who's trash this year, and Tech's close loss to the number 4 team in the country. Everybody else won and won handily.
I forgot that. I don't know. It got lost in the memory the last few weeks, but I forgot that Virginia and Duke played a few weeks ago, and Virginia beat them like a drum. I think that was the week that quarterback was coming off a concussion or whatever, and they just went in there and beat them bad. So
yeah, I thought that was a game where I thought Duke was gonna step up and do whatever they were gonna do. I think I picked that to be the week where Virginia finally would lose a game, and nope. Yeah. We're all in coastal chaos now. That's their fault for getting rid of the divisions. Florida State and Clemson are going to sue over that. They want to bring back the Atlantic and the coastal because things were fine for them until they did away with the divisions. Now it's just total and utter chaos.
Yeah, the ACC is kind of its own worst enemy. I agree with that.
As a guy who grew up a Texas fan, hearing Sark try to do a stump speech made me throw up in my mouth a little bit. I turned the TV off, literally, I couldn't handle it. It was so bad. They went to overtime with Mississippi State and Kentucky, and that Kentucky game was one of the worst offensive football games I've ever watched in my life. It was up there with the 0-0 Wake Forest Virginia Tech game as being one of the ugliest games, and the Tech ACC championship game against Wake as the ugliest games I've watched on offense in my life. And yeah, him stumping for that was incredible because A&M just A&M'd, man. Did their battered Aggie syndrome moment and choked on a big stage. It was not anything other than that. And then Marcel Reed blowing out his ankle and staying in the game also was funky. We were all sitting there when that happened, and I thought he was toast, and then he went back in. So I don't know. It's crazy.
But now A&M and Oklahoma, and they kind of get to sit back and do nothing this week, and they're going to be in good shape.
Oklahoma's offense is hard to watch.
Oh
man.
Yeah, they're. I have no idea how Alabama lost that game. Still, I watched a good bit of that game, and I don't know how Alabama lost that game to Oklahoma. They couldn't get out of their own way. It was crazy.
Wake's whole issue in that I watched a lot of that Duke game because I knew that was sort of the key game to watch, and they just turned the ball over. And they turned the ball over on the plus side, I think, multiple times. They had a fumble late in the game at the Duke 25 or something like that. Claiborne fumbled there. They had another weird turnover. They got fake punted in the game. So yeah, they give up like a 30-yard fake punt, which was real bad, where the punter ran for 30 yards untouched. So yeah, it was a real screw up by Wake, who's looked decent this year, and then screw Georgia Tech. I guess that was their revenge for the non-offsides call. Singleton to Tech. What do you do, man? Do you just read like weird Twitter rumors? Eric Singleton ain't coming back to the Flats, man. Like, not unless he's taking a huge pay cut and wants to graduate. But y'all are asking about Eric, man. Like, yeah, I love Eric. He's a great dude. He is not. He like has his trajectory hasn't changed very much. Like there, he had a huge. Did he have a? He had. Did he have two huge drops yesterday?
There was one that was definitely a drop, and one that guy got his hand around, like knocked it out. But yeah, he didn't. He had another rough game. I don't. I don't think he's really had a signature game this year. Which their offense has been so bad, but yeah,
And
he's
you
had a
know,
he's had a ton of drops. All their receivers played bad yesterday. Like they left their quarterback out to dry bad.
yeah, and then the fumble at the end was unbelievable that they had. Let's see, how's Eric doing this year? So he's got 3 drops this season on how many targets?
Boger, I think
I
Aaron
don't know.
Gregory's going to sign with Texas A&M on Wednesday.
That's not a priority, man. And
Yeah,
you're gonna have to spend money to keep Isaiah Canyon. So like, and they intend to keep Isaiah Canyon. So
I don't.
good.
I,
Do
I think they're good at receiver too. I've seen some of the guys that they've signed, and I think they're going to be just fine at receiver with the guys they have. That there's some JJ Winston might be one of those underrated receivers in this class. He was a late bloomer. He didn't play football until his junior year, but he's got all the talent in the world. And like I've seen a lot of highlights of the kid from Florida, Jeffrey Jean Noel, and he's a playmaker. He reminds me of like Malik Rutherford. They're going to be just fine at receiver. So I wouldn't. Aaron Gregory's a great player, but like Kelly said, there's bigger positions of emphasis right now in this class that they're going to try to close strong on, especially defensive line.
so here's sort of a snapshot of Eric Singleton, and it'd be a part of it's their offense was not great at Auburn, but so PFF's not the end all be all, but it's a good kind of snapshot of everything. Eric's numbers are trending in the wrong direction. He went from a 72.1 in 2023 down just a hair to 71.3 last year to 64.2 this season and multiple penalties like OPI penalties. Like, that's not a guy you invest in. I sure no one wants to make less money. Like, that dude's getting paid really well at Auburn. God bless him for that. Like, I'm never gonna want somebody to not get paid. I think AG's offense would be good for him because of the way they get the ball out. But he's got to catch it, and if he doesn't, he's not going to make it to the league. He's got to catch the ball, man. Now Jordan Allen, that's a dude, man. Like he's like good hands. Like that burst is impressive. They're excited about him. I pretty much will guarantee you will see more 4 receiver stuff next year. And he will be on the field a lot with Bailey, and it'll be interesting to see who kind of wins out that slot job too. Like, because they both do really good things. Bailey's excellent at sitting down in the zone and getting open, and I think that Jordan's just so explosive when he gets the football. I do think they should have ran him more on Friday. I thought that gave them a little spike.
And Jordan played some outside too this year. So, I mean, he's a smaller guy, but he's a versatile receiver.
Dude,
He can
what
do
is
it.
your problem, man? Like, let's call you out, bud. Like, no offense, but like, I'm not distracted by anything else. I got distracted for like a minute dealing with something because someone called me with something I had to deal with. I could have just ended the show and like said goodnight, but instead I stayed on here so we could get this taken care of. So I think you need to chill out.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now too. So,
Yeah, I thought honestly about not doing this because there's so much going on right now.
but we're sprinting to signing day. So, good news is ahead. in the next few days. So just be patient.
All right, this is an interesting question. Was Eric Rivers worth it? I don't think Eric Rivers gets paid what you all think he does. Like, he's not making anywhere close to like Singleton money. They got like 3 dudes for like what Eric wanted in the portal, from what I gathered.
I think Rivers had a decent year. He there were several big plays that just barely missed. That would have kind of changed the opinion of him a little bit. Like,
Some were his and some were overthrows by King.
yeah, and the expectations were so high before the season and I kind of got sucked into it too. But like,
he was down a level and he missed the big thing that I heard was that he missed the spring, and so like that actually impacted his chemistry. Unlike if like Isaiah or someone that had been through the system so long had been doing that, then it wouldn't matter as much. But he was learning their system and trying to build chemistry. I thought Rivers did a great job. He was clutch when they needed him to be clutch. He had, it took him a little while to get going. And I think that was knocking the rust off from missing that time. I thought, Zion Taylor did a really great job behind him on that side, getting to Michael's question here in the chat. And then on the other side, you had Canyon and Dean Patterson, who did well too. So yeah, I would assume Aiden Bird's going to be back. He's right on the edge of breaking the all-time field goal made record at Georgia Tech.
I had Zion Taylor as one of my breakout offensive players this year, and I just kind of I was higher on him than Isaiah Canyon going into the season, but Canyon really broke through this year, played his tail off. That's when they I'm sure some other people are putting out some feelers for him because he's
that is one, and because of his skill set, that Brent will go heavy to keep, even though I know there have been rumblings about him and people saying things and whatever. I would be shocked if he's not at Georgia Tech next year. I think he did a really good job. He caught 33 of 45 targets, like 2 drops. That did good. Phoenix Felton question. Phoenix. They've been high on him all year. He just started up. It was 4 weeks ago. Brent was talking about this in the post game when I asked him about him. But maybe about 4 weeks ago, they got to where they felt like he could play finally. And then he slowly worked into the rotation and looked really good.
he played well.
And I like a lot of these young kids like Canyon, like Phoenix Felton, Tay Harris. I think all those dudes have bright futures at Georgia Tech. The sophomore class, and then what's the true freshman class this year, Jordan Allen. Like, they've done a really good job hitting on some of those guys. Dre Fuller, Amontre Bradford, who's a true sophomore in Canyon's class. Like, they got some good dudes. Christian Garrett's the other one everyone asks about. Garrett's thing, he's just got to get healthy, man. Like, he hasn't been healthy for like 2 years, basically. He got hurt his senior year in high school and has not been the full version of himself yet. So we'll see. Why do you guys want Singleton? Why wouldn't? So here's my question. Y'all are very hyped up on bringing Eric Singleton back. I feel like that's a response of wanting to like show up Auburn or an SEC school maybe, or not necessarily thinking about like what's best for your use of funds or whatever. There's a ton of dudes like that. They found Eric Rivers for like, a third or a quarter of what Singleton makes, who was better at catching the football. They have Jordan Allen who does the slot stuff, which is what Auburn did with Singleton. Y'all gotta relax.
I think that receiver is kind of a luxury position right now too. That they need, like we said, to focus more on other places than receiver. And they've got several guys. As long as nobody leaves, they've got a pretty good group coming back. So yeah, that's not really the high priority for me.
He fumbled the opening kickoff of the game and took a knee at the 3 because he was about to get blown up. So they started the first drive at the 3. They had a nice play to Brett Seither to get them out of it, but it was about as bad a start as you could have, short of the one that Orland Smith had, where he stepped in and out of the end zone and took a knee.
I think that's what happened to Marshall too, is he got caught in between of he didn't field it clearly, and he didn't know like where he was on the goal line, so he's like kind of panicked, and it happened. It happened at a bad time, but it's going to happen sometimes. Just got to know where you are on the field and catch the ball.
What else we got here, Alex?
Let's see here. Here's a question about the defense. Why did it take to the last game of the season to simplify the defense? I don't know. That's a good question.
Good question.
Last few weeks, it was rough, and they actually played pretty well. Tajay Butler had a really good game on Friday, and Phoenix Felton, we talked about, came in and played big snaps and played pretty well. Pass rush was pretty good against Gunner, the Heisman candidate no more. I don't know. It's a question we probably won't get a straight answer to, but yeah, defense looked better on Friday. I wish it would have not taken that long in November to figure it out, but they did eventually.
A lot of people are asking in the chat about Damon Stoudemire. We'll know in 8 weeks, I would say, roughly, a good idea what's going to happen. It's on his plate to win. He's got to win. Doesn't have much support, so that's a problem. Like, they're in the bottom part of the league in terms of NIL and even what I think, you know, the school rev share part of it and the traditional NIL. Traditional as in like a couple of years ago. You know, we'll see what happens there, man. You're going to keep spinning this wheel unless you invest in it. Like, that's just how basketball is. Like, if you don't spend money on it, it's not going to be good.
I hate that I didn't see it. I don't think I saw a single dribble of the last 2 games in Florida that they played.
I didn't watch them either, dude. I've watched almost every game since 2009, and just wasn't interested in watching it. Like, we were working, obviously, but like. And then Saturday, I was like, do I want to spend time with my family, or do I want to watch this basketball game after working all day Friday and knowing I was going to have a crazy Sunday? I was like, no.
Honestly, I forgot about the game Saturday. I covered that Barry D3 game and got home, wrote that up, and then I saw the graphic that they had played and lost. That's how much I mean, that's bad that I covered the team and I'd forgotten about it. But, I mean, they play Wednesday at home, late night, 9:15, Mississippi State. So
yeah, I'm not screwing Alex over, and I'll actually go do that game.
ACC SEC challenge. Maybe the ACC can get a little respect on the basketball court.
So, all right, to shed some light, because some of y'all clearly don't subscribe to the site. Essentially, the holdup on Brent's contract extension is a larger picture of things. Ryan Alpert talked about this on 680. So I'm not like saying anything out of school either. Brent's looking at the larger commitment from the program to winning. So what do you need? You need staff support. You need the ability to say someone's interested in Buster Faulkner, to be able to give him a competitive raise, like to go have NIL support that you need in terms of both the rev share from the school and external NIL. Those are all things that Alpert's been working on. There's a larger push to get all that done, but Brent has no real incentive to sign anything right now other than to get a raise, but he doesn't care about that. He cares about the package. He's not trying to leave. He doesn't want to leave Georgia Tech. He's not interested in going to Penn State, despite how many people say that on the internet. Saw some idiots talking about Michigan State today, and they already had that all buttoned up. Jay actually handled that really well up there, getting Fitzgerald hired within like 5 minutes of them announcing they fired the other coach. He wants to be here, but he's using what leverage he has right now while he has leverage to get what he needs. Subscribe to the website. I get into all of this on there, and I'll get into it more probably tomorrow. And I'm sure it's in the mailbag too that's coming out tomorrow. But needless to say, that's what's going on. It's not because Brent's trying to go anywhere, but his agents will be playing this up to get him his position and what he wants to do. I think it's going to be, whatever I don't know what the range is. The original probably thought was 6. It'll probably be more like 7 to 8 or whatever. I think Auburn and Auburn's Alex Golish contract and John Summerall's deal at Florida probably will influence us a little bit, along with James Franklin. So, it is what it is. Somebody's asking about how do they get high end recruits like Mosella or whatever. That's where he's spending his money. The problem is the problem they had this cycle was he didn't have money after investing in whatever he was investing in with Bai and Mosilla primarily to match what Syracuse wanted to pay for Nate George, because it was a bad guard portal last year. The last couple of years, it's been bad at center. This year, there were actually center options. It turned out this was a bad point guard portal, and Nate got overpaid by Syracuse to go to Syracuse and wanted to go there. And they didn't really have a great plan B or fallback or enough money to do it. Tech's spending good money on NIL now. They just need to be more. This is bravo, sir.
I think you responded
How
to
long
one of
before
the
J
tweets.
Bat moves to the Michigan game to Ford Field? I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah.
You saw something saying that I'm the one that said it, but cool. Yes, Rick. Brent turned down Florida. He turned down interviews with Auburn, turned down overtures from LSU. Auburn and Penn State were the two that were the most hot to trot for Brent. I'm not sure what Penn State's doing. I have a weird feeling they're going to hire the JMU coach. I haven't been tracking that job very much because I think that's like asking Brent Key to move to the North Pole. But
I saw today that one of the highest odds to be the next Penn State coach was the BYU coach. So that's one I hadn't heard.
was
But
who?
the
You cut
BYU
out.
coach.
Oh, Kalani Satake.
Yeah,
Whatever her
so
name is.
that'd be kind of weird hire for them, but I don't know. Brian Dable is a name that I've heard a lot of. So
Ooh, that's huge upgrades from.
that's what I was saying. I don't think that would knock the socks off a lot of Penn State fans, but
Here, let's take a moment here and thank our friends at Section 103 for sponsoring the pod. Appreciate them. They're the best for Georgia Tech gear. Get all your Haynes King stuff. Get your Georgia Tech. Get your Brent Key hoodie. Alex is a big fan and spends all of his JOL money on Section 103 gear to outfit his whole family of Tech fans.
that's right.
But thanks to them, we appreciate them for sponsoring us and making sure that I actually do the show with Alex.
I saw a ton of it in the bins on Friday. I saw there's a lot of the coaching staff has Section 103 stuff. A lot of stuff in the stands. It's the best you can get for Georgia Tech stuff.
Yeah, it seems on paper like they've botched. This is a conversation I've had with many national writers I'm friends with too. Like when you fire a guy mid-season, you are saying, I have a plan and this is what I'm going to execute and this is what we're doing X, Y, and Z. And apparently they didn't have any of that lined up. I am laughing if it ends up being Manny Diaz. That'd be pretty funny. Nancy saying there's a Section 103 discount, so y'all check that out till midnight. We're running this on Sunday. And usually there's Cyber Monday deals, so they might be in on that. We'll have a Cyber Monday deal. We're running specials on Jacketsonline too. Check them out if you're not subscribed. Tell your friends if you are. We can always use more of you. It allows us. There's some more people we would like to bring into the fold to help do more of this stuff, but also do other things. I mean, this is the most Georgia Tech way of asking this question, my friend. What is the possibility that Key doesn't get the support he wants, even if he's here? The doomsday or the glass half empty. We'll see, and we'll see what happens if some of the things that are going on actually take place. Then it will become a little more irrelevant because they are trying to put guardrails around NIL and stuff. It's just in this weird, funky time that you're going to have commitments beyond traditional NIL. One of the big things that Ryan Alpert and Brent Jones is working on is trying to put together actual corporate NIL, which is the thing that you're going to have if they actually put the guardrails in. So we'll see. New members, JOL, go check out my Twitter page, Kelly_Quinlan. You will see that we're running right now we're running a 50% off an annual subscription deal, I believe. Hold on, sorry. I know I'm looking all weird. I have my screen set up kind of funky. Hold on, let me share the screen here. I'll share this with you guys as well, because that's crazy to not talk about that, because we always should be selling.
That's right.
Here you go, straight from my Twitter page. You can see my Twitter profile there. And sorry, Todd, I'm not trying to out you, buddy. I didn't see your response to me. I'll have to get back to him. But yeah, that's what's going on. So check that out.
We need more JOLers in the game threads. It's not crazy enough already. So y'all,
Sorry, I was
invite your
trying to figure out how
friends.
to stop sharing that.
Invite your friends to JOL for more craziness.
Yeah, man, it's supporting me helps, and it also helps you become educated about all this stuff if you're like interested in it. I think people should support like local media trying to do it. I mean, hell, the AJC is going to stop printing at the end of the year. Like, we're in weird times, man. Y'all need to support local media if you can. I get it if you can't too. Like, and I've often helped people out that can't if you reach out to me privately. So
Game threads. Yeah. There's a question on the board. Do you think any of our coaches will get poached or let go during the off season? I'm sure there'll be some staff turnover.
yeah, I've talked about this on the
Somewhere.
board a little bit. I think Brent's going to do some tweaks with the defensive staff. I don't think that necessarily means Blake Gideon is going anywhere, but I think there'll be an evaluation of everything. I think I may have talked about this last week. You have a first-time play caller, and you weren't able to pair him with an older guy that has done it before. That's rough at this level. And that, I think, had as much to do with timing as anything. They had to hire him. They hired Gideon at a weird time after the cycle had settled. And it was because Santucci went to the NFL after the NFL postseason. So everything was pushed back 3 or 4 weeks from the normal hiring cycle. So I'll be interested to see. There's a lot of people that Brent knows that he could bring in if he wants to have an older mentor type figure, like the older analyst guy. Like Fran Brown did that with Don Brown up at Syracuse this year. There's lots of stuff. Auburn 8, brother, you must not know anything about Alex Golish. Alex Golish is his own offensive coordinator and calls all his own plays. His offensive coordinator, the guy who has that title, is the quarterback's coach, Joel Gordon, who I also know is going to be Auburn's offensive coordinator. Buster Faulkner ain't going anywhere near Auburn, so y'all can just relax.
I think Buster's next job is going to be a head coaching job. So
I don't think Buster's going to be a head coach, man. I think Buster's a career offensive coordinator guy, and he's going to do it at high levels. We'll see what happens. That's my personal opinion, knowing Buster. I think this era and time where you have to do so much more than just coach is not built for a guy that's an old school ball coach, which is what Buster is. Brent is more fungible because Brent knows his strengths and weaknesses and knows what it needs to be, what he needs to be a head coach. He was never like a X's and O's guru guy. He was always a ball coach, an old line coach. And so that's different than a guy that's an offensive coordinator. I think Buster ends up, at some point maybe taking another job as an offensive coordinator in college, or ends up in the NFL if he continues to do well. That's my personal take on it, knowing him. But we'll see. You never know. He could be Brent Key's Bud Foster and be here with, like he was with Frank Beamer, for the rest of his career. You never know. And Buster's turned down some higher level jobs too already. He's had overtures from the Oklahomas and Ohio States and other places. That would be an interesting. Someone mentioned something funny in the chat. Can Buster save the Falcons? Right. That would be the weirdest knife twist for a Georgia Tech fan, wouldn't it? Like, to have Buster Faulkner go to the Falcons.
I've quit on the Falcons. I'm not emotionally invested in it anymore. They're so bad. They're so bad. horribly run organization. Yeah, that game today, I don't know why I sat there and watched it, but it was just another Falcons game that I've come to expect. Yeah, they're so bad.
Yeah, I saw people melting on Twitter, so I didn't even turn the game on. I finally had like a minute to breathe, and I like watched something else. Like I was like, I'm not gonna turn this on.
It was
not invested.
It was one of those weird endings where you knew neither team was very good at like
It was the Jets, right?
Yeah, they punted the ball back and forth in the last 3 minutes. I think they punted the ball back and forth 3 times. Nobody, and it was like, who's going to save their timeouts? Who's going to use their timeouts? And nobody could move the ball until the last drive. Jets got it to a 50-something yard field goal and got nailed it. But yeah, it was Falcons. Yeah. I'm off of that train. There's a long question on here about the ACC. Just kind of
that's what we love on a show where we're taking questions.
what they, you know,
y'all conciseness is a virtue when you're having to answer questions, or like if Alex has to read it to me or vice versa or whatever, like just for future reference, if y'all are asking questions, like you don't want part A and B, to save that for like the mailbag. Like I might try to do that.
Yeah, it's just basically like there's a whole lot of Jim Phillips dislike.
Ty, you definitely meant that.
But yeah, long-winded question about how the ACC just kind of changed reputation, kind of how they're thought about. So
I think they're gonna be thinking a lot about it after this week. Yeah.
Did I get cut off?
You did for a second.
I don't. My screen of me is frozen, so I don't know.
Someone's asking about Gideon. Gideon's on a 3-year contract, I think. I think Gideon's not going anywhere. I think the internet in Lindell is struggling.
It's not good right now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Your just video's cut off.
That's what I was trying to.
It's all right.
It's just stuck. Let's see what else we got. Well, speaking of Gideon, there's the question: do you think Gideon will still be the DC next year?
Yeah, probably.
I think so.
Who's worse, Jim Phillips or Arthur Blank? Oh, I see. I have to see Jim Phillips all the time. I can't speak ill, and my wife works for Home Depot, so like, I feel like I gotta bow out of that one. Why would Tay Harris and Christian Garrett be guys you can't afford to lose? I think a guy you can't afford to lose is like Aaron Philo or Isaiah Canyon or like Dre Fuller or Montre Bradford, like guys who've done things, not just like a high level recruit. Yeah, man, I think you're getting caught up in the.
Am I back?
Yeah, our rankings are important. I was just saying, someone said that like Tay Harris or Christian Garrett are unlosable guys, and like I was like, they're asking if there are any other ones. That the guy who hasn't played and hasn't done anything, short of maybe a defensive tackle, is not like the person that you're going to bend over backwards and put yourself into a pretzel for.
Yeah, I'm unfrozen now. Yeah, like they wouldn't want to lose them, but like
I mean, I mentioned defensive guys: Montre Bradford,
Yeah.
Drake Fuller. I would say Phoenix Felton. And you'd like to keep Tay Harris and Christian Garrett and
Jordan Allen.
Well, no, we're talking about just on defense.
Oh, defense.
They like Elgin Sessions. They like Dalen Penson. Those guys are all important pieces, but like none of them have done, not any of them really to this point have done anything where you're like, oh, this is like, Daquan Dowse going in the portal a couple of years ago, the starting defensive tackle. And yeah, I think they need to do what he did this is what fixed the offensive line a few years ago. Just take a bunch of dudes, let them fight it out. Like take one less wide receiver, one less DB or something, and then just let them fight it out. and then guys will transfer out if they're not playing, and that's how it works. But I think you got to oversign. When is Jim Phillips going to protect the ACC? I don't get that vibe, man. I've been around the dude a lot, different things. He seems quite content with at least on the surface, with what's going on.
I don't know.
I don't think we have any injury. There's nothing. I mean, it's so far away from the next time they play. I don't think it's really meaningful. Even it sounded like Clayton's not done.
That's
He
what.
missed
That's
this
what.
game.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He posted that he had one more left, so I don't think he's out for the bowl game.
Yeah, Kaman's shown some sparks. He still does the wrong thing sometimes, and he's like the definition of the hit and miss guy right now, where he'll like make an amazing play and then like have like a mental mistake that's real bad. He's got to rein it in a little more, but you definitely see the sparks. He definitely can rush the passer from the linebacker position. He's seemed very good at that.
The question about the ACC dissolving, I think a lot of things are going to change in the next kind of restructure, and I think it's 2030 when the TV contracts are coming up again, and there'll be some more conference stuff to. I don't know. ACC's in a weird spot right now. It kind of needs to get back going in the right direction, or it's going to might get left behind with. I don't know. It's behind the Big 12 right now, really. Kind of when you think of it, football wise.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting to see what the next permutation of college football is. Right now, we're in this weird college football playoff era with the portal. Like, what's going to change between now and the end of the decade? It's an interesting quandary. Nancy's asking about a kilo. Well, you don't know. Maybe he'll be back for the bowl game. Hopefully. But yeah, that was tough. When I saw him come out in his jersey, he wasn't dressed. He came out when they started to warm up. He was walking down the sideline, and I just shook his hand. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. You can't go." I felt so bad for him. Like, that dude's been through a lot.
Yeah, the Rutledge flag was, from what I saw, was a little bit touchy.
The guy flopped. I mean, it's it is what it is.
Yep.
This is an interesting comparison from Stretch Jacket. He's saying that this is the Taj Boyd moment at Clemson. If y'all don't remember Taj Boyd,
Taj, yeah.
Taj, well, we know we have a Tajay now, so that
That's
has to be
right.
thrown.
Yeah,
He was the quarterback right before they like hit it before Deshaun Watson, and that era of Clemson football, and he got them, and they like started to get there, and then he couldn't get them over the mountaintop. And he was a warrior dude, hard football player. And you wonder if like that's going to be if it's the Aaron Philo's, the Deshaun Watson without the massage parlor stuff, or the or the Trevor Lawrence or whoever it is, whatever, pick your Clemson quarterback. If he can be that guy, that'd be interesting. That's a very interesting comparison. I said this reminded me a lot of like Joe Hamilton, too, where like I feel like that defense let them down some, and then he had a really good year, and then they seemed to kind of level up almost a little bit after he left because the defense got a little bit better.
I was reading the question about the defensive tackle. There might be a pretty big man coming to join the class here in the next few days. So
they're working on it, man. They're working on it both in the high school and the portal.
Yeah.
A lot of the portal stuff's back channels and whatever. There's tons of things going on. Brent Key has been insanely busy since the season ended, and he well before that, like with getting things together for what they want to do in the postseason.
Let's see. There's a question about red zone. Why didn't they utilize more potent pieces on offense other than Haynes King? I think I wrote about this earlier in the season. I do think they kind of get they got a little bit too fixated on quarterback run, quarterback counter and stuff.
The
Yeah,
fake.
the fake toss, like it came pretty predictable. It worked a lot of times, but yeah, I agree. They could have utilized some other different, some playmakers in the red zone a little bit more, and it hurt them, especially toward the end of the season. They had to settle for some field goals. Had to settle for 3 on. They weren't exactly in the red zone, but they settled for field goals on Friday, and wasn't good enough to beat Georgia. But yeah, I mean, I think the whole offense is going to be a lot different next year with Philo. It's not going to be centered around the quarterback run as much as it was with King, which worked for two years. But yeah, I think it's about to have a little evolution of the offense with Philo and what he can do with his arm.
Yeah, I think that I think people undervalue Philo's running ability. He's like capable of running. He's just not. Haynes was on a different level in terms of his running ability. He was more aligned in terms of his running ability with like one of Paul's quarterbacks with good speed and ability to beat somebody out to the edge. You talk about the Georgia game. Michael asked a question about which game sits heavier on Brent. I think they both do, but I would feel like last year bothers him way more than this one because they had them. They were up 2 scores with whatever 4 minutes left in that game or whatever it was. Like at that point, the statistical probability of losing was pretty low. Um, so that bothers him, I'm sure, much more. And I think they've got some young guys they're going to build around. It's just going to take time to see it all come to fruition. And the thing with Haynes is he was inconsistent early in some games with his throws and reads and stuff. And it will be interesting to see if a different style of quarterback you can build momentum faster than that with like a Philo. Like that's something I'm curious about. It's not a knock on Haynes. It's more just like, is that going to be less of an issue? Because remember, it would be like Haynes would need to get hit one good time, and then he would kind of snap in there and like lock in, like or he'd miss like an early throw or something. And Philo's missed some of those too. The other thing I'll say, Philo's going to probably put the ball in danger a lot more than Haynes King. Haynes King seemed very risk averse the last 2 years after that first year where he threw all those picks. Philo's gonna throw some picks, but he's gonna also throw probably a lot more touchdowns because of just the style of offense is gonna be different. So it'll be interesting.
He's gonna give his receivers chances to make plays down the field more. I would predict that, and that'll lead to a few more interceptions, but it also can lead to some pretty big plays.
Why is it again, man? I answered this earlier, dude. Why are y'all thinking like Haynes King ain't gonna start the bowl game? Brent Key is, if anything, gonna be respectful to the King. This is his team. Like, there's a reason why he's the guy in there. I ain't gonna sit him for a game that ostensibly means nothing. Like, you don't sit that guy. Like, that would be the most disrespectful thing you could do. As far as who's going to back up Philo, right now would be Graham Knowles. I think Graham's very, very capable. Grady Adamson's going to push him because Grady had a great summer and is learning, and they're very excited about him. So they feel real good about the quarterback situation in the future. Who's running back number 2 next year? Trelane Maddox would be the guest today, but they love Shane Marshall. That's why that dude is returning kickoffs. I'll be curious to see how JP Powell develops and what they do in terms of portal or high school with the last running back spot. Will they take a portal quarterback since they aren't probably going to take a high school guy? I have floated the idea that you would go. So if y'all remember Mike Wright, who bounced around the SEC the last few years, who would have been Paul Johnson's quarterback in the 2019 class that he come back. I guess it was 2020, whatever it was, 2020. Just a guy who can run and do wildcat stuff. I would not be shocked if they kick the tires on somebody like that. I just don't know who it is. Like, who is that guy that's out there? And that's, I'm sure, something they're looking at.
You don't think it's going to be Lenoris Sellers, do you?
Was Taquan Marshall at the game? I don't know. Taquan is, I think, on staff at Georgia State, isn't he?
Yeah, he was last year. Let me see.
I haven't seen Quan. Talk to him in a minute.
I know Megatron was at the game. He was making the rounds. He's an honorary captain. He took some pictures with some recruits.
Mostly recruits' parents who were like really excited to see him. It was very funny. It made me feel a little bit older. At one of the dads was like, "Is that who I think it is?" I was like, "Yep."
Yeah, Taquan Marshall is still a graduate assistant at Georgia State, according to their athletics page.
Yeah, Quan's. I was happy for him. There's a bunch of guys. Kyle Henderson's been at USF with Golish. I think he's going to end up at Auburn with Golish as an assistant D line coach. Rook Chungong. Where is Rook now? He was at USF. He might be at Georgia State now too.
He was at Georgia State last year. I don't see him on here this year, but
Ajon Cross was up coaching at Norfolk State for Mike Vick. There's a lot of these dudes that are getting into it. Also, you got like Dwyer's at Kell, has been coaching there for a long time.
Eric Henderson was somewhere.
He's in the NFL.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Can't remember. I wrote about him for the. Yeah. Let's see. Well,
his name's been floated for the USC job if that were to come open.
He was the defensive line coach, co-defense coordinator for USC.
Yeah, he left. So he left the NFL. And guys rarely leave. I remember someone asking about Shane Bowen last week. Like, Giff Smith's been there forever. Like, if you get in, you stay in. The only guys who are coming the other way are either to be a head coach or because they don't run out of options usually. Usually don't come back. That's why Tooch wanted to get his foot in the door.
Let's see here. There's a question about the portal. How do you think the later opening of the portal will impact guys deciding to go in it? Will they play in the games? I don't know. I think most of the guys that's going in the portal have probably made up their mind by the time bowl games roll around, even though the portal's in January.
There's guys who know what they're doing, and those are the conversations that Brian will have over the next week or two, too, with all the borderline guys or guys they need to do new deals with or whatever. And, as people are like Matt Patricia at Ohio State or whatever, there's a few guys that is, if you're at Ohio State, you're basically coaching in the NFL, just about. Like, let's be real about some of this. Matt Patricia ain't going on the road. He ain't doing he's not having to go like kiss babies at a dinner function. Like, he's just coaching ball. And how much school stuff are those guys doing? Like, there's a lot of things you can question. Apparently Quan's still running his NCAA football league. That's cool. I love Taquan. He is a great dude. He was doing a lot of 7-on-7 coaching too. He always enjoyed me because there was a media day early in his career at Tech. He was, I think at the time, the 4th string quarterback going into fall camp. And was it someone got hurt, and then Matthew Jordan got hurt. And then he ended up being the starter for the next couple of years. But I was the only one that went and talked to him. Everyone else was just ignoring him, and I went over to him first because there was no one over there. And I was like, I'll go talk to him because it'll be an interesting story. So, that endeared him with me. The same thing with Jamal Haynes. I was the only one still talking about him when everyone had written him off and thought he was going to leave. And I was like, no, I think this guy can do something. They want to know our thoughts about Lane. I think it has to do with, man, if Brent Key took a job at Clemson, right, to replace Dabo in this hypothetical situation. Would you want Brent Key to coach Georgia Tech in a playoff, knowing that he was recruiting and doing everything in his power to get his next job up and rolling? And remember, Saban fired him as offensive coordinator before a national championship game because he was so distracted. That was when he went to FAU. It wasn't like he was going to LSU or Ole Miss or something. So, and Lane's a weird dude, man. I think that's part of it too. John Summerall, they had no problem with him coaching or whoever. I think a lot of it has to do with who Lane is, and also I think how butthurt Ole Miss people are that he's leaving to go to their rival. Does it hurt Ole Miss's playoff? I think it hurts their seeding. I bet. Are they going to get FSU'd? Probably not, because Greg Sankey would throw a tantrum, or they just put like Vanderbilt in or something. That's not going to help Miami, unfortunately, for Miami.
No, they got to put Ole Miss
Not
in.
that I feel bad for Miami because it's Miami, but like,
I mean, Ole Miss is in there. They leave them out at this point. I think the question about the why wouldn't he wait till after to like it just doesn't work like that. The calendar doesn't work like that. I've seen people post about it today that coaches shouldn't interview or take new jobs or until after the season. The calendar is in a way with recruiting and portal where you've got to have a guy in there and it's got to be it's got to be during the season. Like it's just a sucky way it has to happen, but it's just what it is right now.
You'd have to move back to the old signing day if you wanted to do that in the portal. But the problem is things have to line up with when school starts, right? So that's the main issue here. And then everybody just early enrolls now too. Like, 3/4 of your class is usually early enrollees now. So like that screws everything up too. So it's almost impossible because of the way the calendar falls and the fact that the playoffs are drawn out. It would be different even if the playoffs started like Army Navy week, right? Like they started a week after championships was the playoffs starting. That would be a different conversation probably for them too. Like, but we'll see. I just think I think what's going on there has so much more to do with the job that he's taking. It'd be like, Mike Norvell went to Florida, like Florida State wouldn't want him coaching in a game there anymore. Like you go to your rival, it's just like, that's an unforgivable sin, as people say. Like, people are still mad at, who was the O-line coach that went to Georgia when Donham was there? Shoot.
It's before me.
The chat's going to catch up with me in a second here. I know they're going to be like right on this. He was the Bills coach, I think, at one point. Doug Marrone, right? Doug Marrone. And took, I guess it was Frege's playbook with him. And that was an unforgivable sin to Tech fans, like to go from one to the other, right? Like, there've been very few people who've successfully pulled off that move. Buster was viewed with suspicion coming over. Hell, I still get grief about me, like going to Georgia, and I've spent now like a third of my life or a quarter of my life covering Georgia Tech. Like, I think it's pretty clear where I'm bought in at this point.
I don't know.
And if you don't believe that, go read like all the terrible comments UGA fans have left on my Twitter over the last 3 days.
You're not one of those long range spies.
I'm running a long game here through multiple coaching staffs to really thwart at the most critical moment to thwart things for Tech.
I think it's going to come out soon that Kelly was the one that inserted Jeff Collins as Georgia Tech head coach to really take them off the tracks.
I inserted the guy I told them not to hire and was like angry on the board, was being considered for the job at the time and had to walk that back.
Doug Marrone. He talked about Doug Marrone the week of the Boston College with all the reminiscing about Bill O'Brien and all that staff that went on to be head coach.
Brent has a relationship with him.
Yep.
I am king of the nerds. I embrace my crown. Should get like a nerd crown to wear. All that. I'm ready to just shave and like shave my head and stuff. I haven't even had time to do that. It's too soon on the Jeff Collins jokes.
Yeah, that was
no one's knocking down his door. When's he gonna get that? Like, is he gonna replace Jerry Mack at Kennesaw State? Like, where's Jeff's next big job?
He's just doing inspirational speeches. He'll be the featured speaker somewhere this summer on a coaching circuit. There's a question about the future games with Tennessee and Bama. Do you think they're in jeopardy with kind of the way the Texas Ohio State thing worked out this year with like guys not scheduling tough games. I think the Tennessee series is in pretty good shape. The Alabama series is still a few years down the road. I don't know. A lot could change before then. So
It might be in the same league or whatever. Like at that point,
yeah,
it might be a conference game. You know,
but
whenever.
Georgia Tech,
And I'm not. That's not a read between the lines. So please don't like start flooding me with. I'm just saying, like, we have no idea those games that are so far off. So many of them have never been played or whatever. The Ole Miss series took a decade to actually happen from when it was originally scheduled.
and I'll say that it's not going to come from the Georgia Tech side. If Georgia Tech wants to play those games, it's just Alpert and Keys talked about scheduling games like that to play the top, but other conferences might not want to play those games. So
they're done with the Benz. That was it. So it won't be playing in the Benz unless it's a kickoff game. On this, yeah, I gave a suggestion to somebody that would be able to vet it. I actually had thought of somebody, so we'll see. Yeah, like this is one that I don't get either, man. Like, why are Tech and South Carolina not playing? Why are Tech and Auburn not playing? Like, that baffles. I'm glad they're finally playing Tennessee, even though that's not a great. I'd rather see them play somebody less good with the schedule they have. But like, in terms of wins losses, but yeah, South Carolina's one that is baffling to me that Georgia Tech hasn't played in forever. Everyone wants Tech Auburn. I would love a Tech Auburn series. That's an easy trip. Like that's fun. They've played Mississippi State. They've played Ole Miss. They've played Vanderbilt. The other one is Tech Florida too. Would be the other one that I've never covered a game in the Swamp because obviously I covered Georgia. They played in Jacksonville every year. It's like one of the few SEC stadiums I've never been to. So I'd like a trip to the Swamp. I'm trying to think of other. I mean, I would love to go to Ohio State or Michigan for a game, but I don't necessarily want to see Georgia Tech play. I don't know if I'm feeling Georgia Tech Ohio State right now, but you know.
seeing some of that weather from yesterday from
The Illinois game where it was like they were getting lake effect snow in the middle of central Illinois, nowhere near the lake. Yeah.
and then I turned that game on the second half, and they had shoveled the whole field off to the side like it was just big piles of snow, and the field was pretty clear in the second half. It was kind of changed the game around a little bit.
But Tech can't block Auburn or whatever it was that Chuck said. I think the rooster crowing. I've been to South Carolina many times. I haven't covered Georgia to South Carolina games, and that is far less annoying than the cowbells at Mississippi State because the press box is closed, so I don't have to worry about the rooster at South Carolina. Press box is open in Starkville, and they're just a side of the thing clanging, and it just bounces off the back of the press box, and I popped for like a leave or something during that game or Advils or whatever. It was quite bad. The rooster thing, yeah.
It was loud in the bins, and Kirby even talked about that. It was loud, like not either way. Like
There's a drone. There was like a drone to the game.
It was just he's and smart. Kirby even said like every time they play there, it's just like a weird loud roar the whole time, and you don't know who's like.
It just kind of reverberates through the stadium. Yeah. I've noticed it when I've been at like Atlanta United. I haven't been to a Falcons game there. I haven't been to a Falcons game in forever. Since the Dome. I haven't been to Michael Vick, I think, was a quarterback the last time I went to a Falcons game, to put some perspective on it.
I think my last
and Lenny Wilkins was coaching the Hawks the last time I was at a Hawks game. So
I think my last Falcons game was the Marcus Mariota year. I think that's 2 years ago.
Everyone keeps asking the attendance. I don't know what it was. It was very split, and the crowd was very split sounding. And it's hard to tell because the seats are red. Everyone was bundled up. So people weren't wearing their normal, like, it wasn't like people in t-shirts or whatever. So it's hard to tell.
I thought it was pretty. I mean, I was expecting a whole lot more Georgia like taking over the stadium, but that wasn't the case for me. And
The gobbler versus the gobbler, the turkey gobble versus the gamecock gobble. I had never thought about that, but that is a good point. The one that always got me was Vanderbilt because they had this damn, like, I don't know what the hell it was. It was underneath your feet in the press box. And it was just like a gong or something that would go off, and it shook the floor. Like whatever it was like it was a mechanical sound, like mechanically based, and it would like shake the floor in the press box. That always drove me nuts.
I've been to a few Vanderbilt games in that stadium before. I think the last one I went to was when Muschamp was at
Oh, it's a
South
foghorn.
Carolina.
Okay.
Muschamp was at South Carolina, and my buddy that worked at Vanderbilt at the time got me tickets. Like I was on the first row behind the South Carolina bench, and I saw Will Muschamp just go full Will Muschamp on a kid right in front of me, like the worst,
Boom.
the worst ripping of a kid I've ever seen in person. It was pretty entertaining. But yeah, Vanderbilt's got a pretty good crowd. I mean, pretty good atmosphere this year.
I literally like almost died. I was down the field with Rod from TOS after at the end of a Tech NC State game, and they set off that damn cannon, and I thought I had forgotten it was down there. We were on that end zone where they had the cannon, and I was like shocked that like I didn't die. I was like, it was so loud.
My high school alma
Were you
mater has a.
were you hanging out with Pavi's mom
No,
at the
I didn't
Tennessee
make
game?
it. I didn't make it, but I saw his brother got arrested again after the game last night up in Tennessee. So
Really?
he did public intoxication or something like that. They said he had a flag in the stadium that he was been told several times to put it down, and he got mouthy with a cop, and it didn't go well for him.
I kind of agree with this. I think it would be cool if they blew the steam whistle more. Like, I like the steam whistle, and they use it some, but like, it would be cool if it was more incorporated.
Yeah. I think what's his name? The comedian's dating old Pavia's mom, not me. I don't know if
Oh,
y'all.
Theo Vaughn, is that his name?
Yeah.
I appreciated that on that dude was it was cougar hunting or whatever they call it these days.
It's going to get him.
Is it a real like? Oh, yeah. Like I would like the real one that they set off on campus, like like during class. What is it? The bottom of the hour or whatever they set it off. That would be cool with the steam.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Bogart. They were apparently trying to get on the field after the game, and they were not allowed. And one of the brothers got a little crazy. So, I mean, he's going to get him. He's going to get an invite to New York, I think. I mean, I don't. We'll see.
Well, the problem is like Jeremiah Love got hurt, so that messed him up.
Yeah.
So I got a care package from Notre Dame actually. They sent to not even all Heisman voters, but other voters too. It was like a little box of hearts and like a thing with like one love on it or whatever. He was on my list. He was on my short list. It's going to be real interesting because like the Indiana Ohio State game might decide the Heisman. Like,
yeah,
who plays well in that game?
I mean,
Pavi definitely. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I don't like all the stuff he does, but man, he gets them motivated and like he is. I think in a single-handed manner really lifted them up, sort of like what Tebow did, but in a completely different way than what Tim Tebow did. But like had that same level of impact for that program, and it's hard to overlook that when you really start to think about. And I know how undermanned Vanderbilt still is relative to who they play every week, so it's kind of fascinating.
He's going to get him.
He is like the swagger of like a Joe Namath, but if Joe Namath were playing in the modern era where he could be like let his freak flag fly, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's interesting.
He's doing some pretty good recruiting too for him these days, because apparently there's a big flip that's about to happen this week, if you believe some sources.
Oh, Jared Curtis, yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, they can tell him he can start day one. He's going to sit for your Georgia Mine Gunner at least. They got a bunch of other 4 or 5 star quarterbacks. Like, it is what it is.
Georgia got a 2028 quarterback commit the other day.
Oh, that's a good one, brother. That was a good one.
Pavia, I've told several people this. He's one of those players that you absolutely hate. If you're not, if he's not on your team, but he's one of the guys that if he is on your team, he's the guy that you get behind. Like, he's just a very out there, in your face kind of player. I mean, he's backed it up for the most part. But yeah, I don't know.
I was trying to think. There's like some other people like that, and I was trying to think of who it would be that is that weird.
I'd say Baker Mayfield's kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
Uh, um,
he's very polarizing. Like,
Johnny Football.
you love him if you got him, and
Yeah,
you
Johnny
hate him.
Football. That's what a lot of people.
Yeah.
Little Tommy Castellanos.
Man, Castellanos had his moment. They won their Super Bowl to start the year, and then it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, they're like inverse of last year, where
Yeah.
they lost their first game and then they still sucked last year. They just didn't look like they sucked this year, and then still sucked. Oh yeah, the Clemson guy. What's his name? The white guy.
I know who you're
Was it
talking about.
Bulware? Was it the Bulware kid, or was it a
What's
different
that?
one?
He was defensive tackle recently.
Well, they had Christian Wilkins, who was the little free with his hands. Oh, Brian Breesy.
Breesy, yep.
Yeah, that's who it was. Sorry, Bulware. Not trying to.
Yeah, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton's more like this. He feels like he's doing that NBA walk every week, like they do for WNBA and NBA games, or like doing their fashion walk or whatever. It feels like he's doing that until like he puts the uniform on.
I got my cousins, diehard Bama people, and they before the game last night they sent the picture of old what's his name, Harvey Updike. He said never forget what Auburn did to Bear Bryant's statue. That was the like, let's get pumped up kind of text I got last night. Oh, Harvey.
Yeah, and there's like Shador, like there's guys that have had swag, but as weird as Shador has been, like he's not acting like that on the field, which is, I guess, the thing that's like when he's on the field, he seems like very in control or whatever. Like, that dude's just a barrel of emotions on the field. And like when they practice taking a knee at Alabama, like, my goodness, like that was a bold move for the dude. It was like Brian Bosworth or something, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see Caleb Williams a little bit like that.
Caleb Williams just seems odd. Like, it doesn't.
He's eccentric for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yes, Cam Newton did win a natty with a Ted Roof defense, and with Nick Fairley and Ted folding chairs. Yes,
the Bears are the top seed in the NFC right now with the Rams losing today, so that's pretty good second year turnaround for Caleb Williams.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You guys can watch the women's basketball team are in the NCAA tournament, apparently, according to my emails. So check them out. They play December 4th against UCLA in Lexington, Kentucky at 4:30 p.m. So if you want to check that out, it's Thursday. Appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. I'm sure we'll be back actually I was gonna say we won't be back, but we'll probably, I'm sure, have to do a signing day. It may not be on Sunday. We may do it earlier in the week. It just depends on what's going on. I know what we do Sunday. We'll talk about signing day in the bowl.
Yeah. Yep.
That was
Hey,
volleyball I was talking about, Lady Jackets volleyball.
that's why I was confused. I thought you said basketball. I thought
I
thought
might have said it when I was like trying to remember the information and like looking it up on my computer. Sorry, Lady Jackets volleyball team. We're gonna do something at L3, maybe. Sorry, I wasn't trying to. I wanted to get it in because I'd just seen that email before I like got on here. I was like, oh, I should probably mention this because maybe like a couple of people are interested, other than Jack.
we might have another show before the GHSA rolls on the Gainesville players.
Oh, is that still going on?
Oh man, they're having to postpone the next round on the other side of the bracket because it's not going to be done in time. It's a mess. Rome's waiting on an opponent right now. They won, so they'll play the Langston Hughes Gainesville winner whenever it gets played. I don't know. GHSA's in a mess right now.
Yeah, there's a war room on the way for football. The bowl game will be announced Sunday. We talked about this earlier in the show. They'll announce the playoff teams, and then they'll do a bowl selection show on the 4-letter network. And that'll be in the afternoon. We'll come on Sunday night, talk about the bowl game. That because we'll probably have one of us will have a media with Key, so it'll be dependent on that when the show is. Maybe we do something about signing day. If the class is done, we might do that on a different day. We'll see how the schedule's going. But appreciate everybody for joining us. It's I was on Chuck Oliver's this week. Was it this week? This week? Sorry, I'll put it up on the site. I was on Chuck Oliver's show this week. I think it was this week to talk about the Pitt game in Georgia. You can go back and listen to that. I said that I thought it would be closer. I mean, I thought they would cover, which they did. So
yeah, Nancy. Signing days, early signing periods Wednesday through Friday, so most of the kids on Wednesday. Yeah, there might be a few Thursday and Friday, but most of the stuff's gonna get done Wednesday.
appreciate everybody, and hopefully we're in a celebratory mood because they're not going to Birmingham for a bowl game or playing 2 days before Christmas in Tampa this year.
That's right.
Maybe go hopefully somewhere warm for the players' sake.
Absolutely.
Thanks and good night.